Dragon Rampant. In our last battle, we found light riders don't do well in city fighting. No doy. Well, they also don't do well in city fighting in Dragon Rampant today. I am going to use the exact same forces as I did in our last Dragon Rampant fight, except we're going to go with a lot less terrain. Here is a sand dune. It is rough going. You need fleet-footed to cross that, or you have a half penalty move. Blocks line of sight. You need Ranger to be able to fight in here with your normal abilities. Otherwise, you're fighting at a 5-5-2. These guys, on the other hand, this whole area in the center, the trees, there's a little well in there. I don't know if you can see it. She's in there. Our little oasis is all rough going. That's it. That's the scenario. And here's what it looks like from up top. We're going to roll for our general abilities. The red dice throughout today's battle will be for the goblins. The goblins roll a result of a 12. Goater, one unit within 12 inches of your leader, automatically passes a move activation test. And 12 and 12. Oh, it's the same for everybody. Each team gets one free move per activation. That should help speed things along considerably. I'm going to now roll for... we're going to do a simple roll-off to see who's gets to pick which side of the battlefield they want to come in on. The other side will get the first turn. I'm only going to put the generals on the table to start. With the result of a 6, King Hopper says, I want to fight over here. And he's going to come on Goblin King, King Hopper. King Hopper, meet the Goblin King. Now this is interesting. Remember we said that whoever gets to pick the side has to go second. Since our Goblin King gets the first move activation, he can summon any of his helpers onto the table with a simple move activation. And he's going to summon his delaying force first. That is his unit of Wolfie Boys who are going to run over to here with their free move. They can move 6 inches, and remember, terrain does not affect them in any way, shape, or form. With that out of the way, we now have 3 units of light riders. We are going to try to summon 1 down here, and we're going to fail. And that's going to be the end of King Hopper, the Goblin King's turn. Now King Hopper gets to do the same, and he says, I absolutely want to bring my light riders, my unit of elite riders rather, and we're playing at half scale, so elite riders will be able to move 5 inches to start the festivities. And then King Hopper says, you know what, the other thing I want to do, since I have a little time, I'm going to try to get up myself. And with a result of a 4, he's not going to be able to move either. He wouldn't have been able to bring anyone else on. Anybody within 6 inches, eh? Let's go ahead and send these guys up a little bit further. They have wild charge. We're going to, let's just go ahead and send these. We probably could have been smarter about this. We're going to send these guys into the woods. And then Goblin King says, yeah, that's probably a good idea. And with a result of a 4, he's not going to move up either. All right, well, let's use our free move to bring these guys up 5 inches. Elite Riders only move on a 7. So, man, when you have Goater and a unit of Elite Riders, that is a really powerful combination. The next thing we're going to try to do is bring a unit of Archers on. They move on a 5. They're going to come on right here. And then we're going to try to bring on a unit of Spearmen right there, and we'll bring on our other unit of Spearmen down on this side. There you go. Everybody comes on. And there they are. I don't know why. Whenever I use these two forces, the Broman Empire has a much easier time bringing troops onto the board. We're going to use our Goater move to try to bring on some light riders. And I'm liking the concept of maybe we're better off denying the elite riders a chance to put paid to our light riders. If we can sweep around this side with our light riders, we can do a lot more damage over there. The next thing we're going to do is try to bring our greater war beasts up. With a result of a 7, they will move. Now, they only get to move 5 inches, but that's okay. They are also, I don't think they're fleet-footed, though. They're rangers, but they still suffer the half movement penalty. So we'll bring them up to there. And then we're going to try to bring light riders up to here. And with a 6, we will. Light riders activate on a 5. They can move right up to the base of... Oh, they can fall from the sky, apparently. They can move right to the base of this sand dune. And then we just have one more unit of light riders. We're going to bring them up right in the middle. And on a result of a 4, they're not interested. So that's going to do a turnover. All right, our free move activation. We are going to order our archers forward to here. And then we got to get Hopper up off the back edge. If he gets one failed move or morale check this close to the border is bad. But our light troops are only move on a 5, so they move on a 5. These guys will move up on a 5, and then we're going to try to bring Hopper up. And on a 7, he will, and we're just going to bring the spear up, Hopper up, and then these guys will move up on a 6, on a 7. So, hey, full clean sweep for the Bromans. Yeah, we're going to use our free move activation to bring this last unit on the table. We are outgunned, outnumbered, and outgunned. We can move a total of 5 inches. So we'll bring them up something like this. And again, we're still looking to use those trees to screen our advance, to split the enemy in half. And I am just all thumbs today, aren't I? Hey, Goblin, you got to get back on there. All right, we're going to have to do a repair job. We got our first one. There we go. Okay. So that's our first move of the day. These guys are going to try to move up into... What's the activation for Lesser War Beasts? On a move on a 6, our light riders have the better chance. Let's go ahead and stick with the 5s first. We're going to try to bring these guys up. With the result of a 5, they're going to move straight up. These guys are going to follow suit with a 5 or better. And then now we have our 6s to try to move. 6 and 6. We're going to bring our War Beasts up next. He moves up, and then, you know what I want to do? Light Riders can move 6 inches, so I brought this unit up an inch. These guys only moved 3 because for whatever reason they're going right through the dunes. Our last unit that we have to move is our Greater War Beasts. We're going to lead with them. On a 3, we're not. We're just going to hang tight. That's going to be a turnover. We need to take a look at how we want King Hopper wants to move. And he's going to try to bring these guys up first. We want them fighting on the defensive. Oh, I'm sorry. He's got 1 free move order for anybody. So first we'll move these guys up, and then we'll roll the snake eyes for those guys. So we're only going to be able to get these guys up to here. And that's going to be the end of the turn for King Hopper. Is that a little bit cheap, kind of calling it like that? Yeah, maybe. But I'm a solo wargamer. My opponent loves giving me a second chance. King Hopper having a little trouble motivating his guys. Now these wolves are just beyond 6 inches. We want to go ahead and call them up. They're going to come up to here. And they're going to stand half in. This is our free move order. And half out right there along this big old rock. So they're in the woods there, and they're daring these guys to wild charge them. They didn't need to do that. They didn't need to wild charge because they were a little bit too far away. That means it's time to bring our Greater War Beasts up. On a result of a 7, they will move 5 inches, and we're going to keep them close to the woods. And you know what's great is all of this battle is going to be fought behind the woods. I can just tell they're going to be blocking things the whole time. Now we've got 3 units of light riders. We're going to try to bring these guys up with a 5 or better. They do. We're going to follow up with the guys on this flank. They do. You can see they've moved. I may need to knock some of these down or something. These are the last guys to go. They're just going to kind of sidle up forward. Nope, on a 3. They're going to hang out on top of the hill, enjoying the view. So we take a look at things from King Hopper's perspective. These Lightfoot have already moved up. That's the free move that they are allowed because King Hopper is, they were with it. They're pretty close to the border there, but we'll give it to them because I already did it. This is the next order that Hopper is going to issue. Take a shot at these light riders. Now, that is going to require light missiles have to roll a 5 or better to execute the order. And an 11 they will. Now, they are at long range, so they're only hitting on 6s against light riders who have an armor of 3. So we got to roll 3 6s to do any good. We roll a grand total of 0. Oh, you know what? But before we do that, these guys, these elite riders, have to wild charge. We were supposed to start with that. On an 8, they do. Now we have a combat that is a little bit wonky because our elite riders are caught fighting in the woods. I can put this back now that we can see that. And that's why I put these rocks down, so I always am sure to put my terrain back right where I intended. All right, because they are in rough going, these guys are going to have an attack value of 5. The wolves have a defense value of 5, which is actually a little bit better for them. So hitting on 5s for the boys in yellow, they are going to get a total of 3 hits. And the wolves are going to hit on 5s, and they're going to get a total of 1 hit. The lesser war beasts have an armor of 3, so we will pull off 1. And we have to make a morale check. They are not within sight of their guys. They get a score of 5, which means they are okay. The battle is over. The guys that wild charge have to pull back an inch. Inch and a half. Inch and a half. I go by an inch and a half. It's fine. It's fine. Now we have some choices to make. We've used these guys moved, these guys fired. Who do we want to move? Let's try to bring our elite riders in. What do you say? That's what we got to do first. It's a move order on a 6th. King Hopper is going to fail. Turn over. Now we got to look at what the Goblin King is going to do. The first thing that happens is our wolves are going to wild charge out of the woods. And with a result of a 12, they will do just that. So they rush up, and now our combat is going to be a little bit interesting. The elite riders are hitting on 5s. Our lesser war beasts are hitting on 4s because they're on the attack. And this is kind of how you want to do it. Use the woods to defend yourself so that you're fighting on the defensive in terrain. But in the open, it's not going to make any difference. So our blue dice are going to score 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. But remember, they have an armor of 3. So that's 1 wound to the wolves, and our wolves are going to be hitting on, I said 4s, did I not? So they are going to get a grand total of 7 hits, which, fighting a guy with an armor of 1, it's going to be 1 hit per. So we'll pull off the 1 and the 1, and both sides now have to make a morale check. Let's check the distances for, so 6 inches, Hopper is outside of the command range. It's going to be -1. We need a 4 to succeed here. We need a 4 to succeed here. Oop, keeps falling cock. So a 3 is a failure. A 2 means they're battered. The wolves are at -2. They get a 5. They're fine. So they're going to stand their ground out here in the open, which may be dangerous. These guys, however, are going to retreat 2.5 inches towards their baseline. And they're going to be battered at the start of the next turn. So I have a red gem that we'll put right by them to remind us that that's the first thing we should do. That's the only wild charge we have. These light riders here have a range, are at about 5.5 inches away, which means they can take a shot. They do have light bows. They need a 6 to pull it off. With a result of a 7, they are going to open fire. Now, when they shoot, they hit on 5s. And the reason we're doing this is these light foot defend on 4 up. So if we get into hand-to-hand with these guys, it's not going to go well for us. Hitting on 5s against an armor value of 2, we get a total of 1 wound, 2 wounds, and I think that's it. So we pull off 2 of our soldier boys, and they have to make a morale check at -2. Are they within 6 inches of the boss man? We'll double check. They are not. Remember, we gave them that free move last time. All right, so we're at a total of -2. Lightfoot have a courage of 4. We need a 6 or better. The 7 means they will stand and continue to fight. The next thing we're going to do is bring our greater war beasts up into this area here. They move 5 inches on a 6 or better, and 5 inches will bring them up to here. We're going to try to drive the bowmen from the field. In the meantime, why don't we go ahead and bring, I like the archery. Let's bring these guys around. On a 7, they're going to come around this way. 5. Maybe we can do some damage to the elite riders on this side from shooting. Although, we got to roll 4 5s or better. That's going to be tricky. We got one wolf that's not ridden anymore. And then I think we go ahead and bring these guys up as well. We got to get them off that hill. In fact, that's really all I'm going to do. I'm just going to bring them up here That's about 3 inches, right? Oh, it's 6 inches movement, isn't it? So that they have their full range of movement. And what the reason I say, oh, because that means I can bring these guys up just 1 more inch. That might be important. You never know. That's going to be the end of the turn for the goblins. For Hopper, we're going to try to recover these guys to get a result of a 3. They have a courage of 3. They will recover, but that's all they're going to do. We'll use our free move to bring these guys up to kind of seal this gap here. They can come up a total of 3 inches. That means this guy can come up to about there. I think that looks pretty good. I'll finish moving the rest of them here in a little bit. I want to get Hopper stuck in. I move these trees again so we can see. Here's our Goblin King. Hopper is too far away to charge, but he wants to draw aggro. He's going to try to move up on a 7 or better, and on the 12, he does. That does block line of sight for our archers. I think we have kind of an alley here. You know, I think actually these 9 of them have a clear shot at our boss. We're going to try to fire with them. An 8 will succeed. We are only hitting on 5s, and because we're shooting lesser war beasts, we're going to have to get at least 4 of those suckers. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 altogether. Not bad at all. That's going to do 1 wound to the Goblin King, and that will require him to make a courage check. 7 minus 1 plus 1, because the general means he is successful, but he does still take that wound. And then we're going to try to bring these guys into shield wall. On a result of a 4, they're going to fail. Shield wall raises their armor to 3. I believe that's against shooting as well as melee. All I got to do is bring these guys up into this gap, and we're going to be done with the Roman Empire's turn. We have 2 wild charges we got to do. I'm going to start with this one down here. These wolves, on a result of a 9, are going to pile in to these knights. And we're going to roll some dice. Remember, the knights are fighting defensively. They only hit on 5s. Our wolves are also going to be hitting on 4s. So our wolves are going to get a total of 1 hit. And then look at this, 4, 5, 6. They get a 2nd wound. They get a total of 8 hits altogether. Our knights, on the other hand, are only going to score a total of 1 wound. So these 3 count. The other 2 are wasted. So it's going to be 1 hit, and that puts the wolves at half strength. But the wolves are able to do 2 hits against these elite riders. I guess we should probably bring them up. And that's going to force 2 morale checks. Nobody has a general nearby. They're all fighting at half strength right now. I think that's a fair trade. 6 minus 3 is a 3. The knights succeed. 5 minus 3 is a 2. The wolves fail, and they have to fall back 3 inches. We're going to fall them back 3 inches kind of in this direction to kind of keep them out of the way. They are now battered, and that's unfortunate for them because they're going to get wild charged. And when you're battered, it doesn't go well. But before we do anything else, we have 1 more wild charge to take care of. And that's over here where our general on his greater war beast is hoping to attack on a 5 or better. He gets it, and we are going to be doing the boss man versus the boss man. 24 dice, winner take all. Greater war beasts will attack on a 3 or better. Elite riders defend on a 5 or better. Everything's coming up goblin today. Red dice looking for 3s, blue dice looking for 5s. Blue dice score a total of 2 for no wounds. Looking for 3s. We need to get groups of 4. 1 wound. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 wounds. I think we all know who took the better of that one. We pull off 2 elite riders. And we pull off 1 figure. The Goblin King. Oh no. With just 2 hits. That's no wounds at all. He does not need to make a morale check. The Roman Emperor does. Hopper himself, on a result of a 6, well, first of all, he charged up. A 6 is successful. He is going to be thrown back 1.5 inches. This is 6 minus 1 becomes a 7. Elite Riders have a morale of like 3, so they're good. The next thing we're going to do is try to, well, we need to use our free move order. Right, forgive me, I lost track of where we are in the turn order. That was the wild charge on the part of him. He charged up, did a couple of wounds. King Hopper has to fade back. He passed his check, so he just fades. Oh, no, you know what? Again, gotta make sure you get this right. He charged up, did not drive his foe from the field, so that means the attacker is thrown back that 1.5 inches. Now I've got a unit that wants to shoot, and with a 9, they are gonna. They are rolling for 5s, and for every pair of 5s they get, they will eliminate a spearman. And we'll roll them right here, and we get a pretty good roll. There's gonna be 1 loss, 2, 3 guys go down. And that's a total of 5 spearmen have been eliminated so far, which means those spearmen have to make a morale check. They are at +1 because the general is right nearby. So 7 becomes an 8, becomes a 3, and they have a courage of 4, which means they will fall back 1.5 inches, and they will be battered. So no shield wall for you. And I think this battle is going way better. The extra room, the ability to move up into the center is really making the difference for our goblins. In fact, to that end, our Goblin King is comfortable bringing these guys around this way. Or should we bring these guys? These guys only have a range of 6 inches. I don't think they can shoot anybody yet. But we can bring them up. Let's bring them up first. A 6 means they're going to move up to about here. And we haven't lost a single light rider yet, have we? They're doing pretty good. So these guys now are going to exercise that free movement, and they can move 6 inches to here. Thanks, boss. Look at that. So this is the way light riders are intended to be used. It takes a little time. You have to be patient. I think light riders are harder to use because you have to be willing to commit and then come around. A lot more moving around, but with that 5 up and with the goader ability to be able to just command these guys, now we're going to have the numerical superiority over on this side, and the Bromans are not going to be able to counter it. That is the end of the turn for the goblins. Starting with our wild charge down here, a 12 will do it. They're going to charge into these guys who now, both sides are at half strength, now that I look at it. 3 versus 3. We're rolling 6 dice versus 6 dice. The wolves are battered. They're only going to be hitting on 6s. They need 4 of them to do anything. They get 2. It's not going to be enough. Our elite riders are going to be hitting on 3s. They get a total of 6 hits against a unit with an armor of 3. That's going to eliminate 2 more wolves and force a morale check. At -5, but I think if you're already battered, do you not get an additional -1? -1 for each strength point. -1 if your retinue has had half or more army points of units removed from play. Oh, well, that's not us. That's the retinue. So I guess not. I guess it's just a -5. So a result of a 2 will be a failed. Oh, but if you fail a morale check when you're battered, you lose another point. So they are going to be driven from the field. And then we have one more wild charge for the humans. And that's over here where King Hopper is trying to put paid to the Goblin King. With a result of a 10, we are going to have another nice big battle. This time things are probably going to go the way of the Elite Riders. The blue dice are hitting on 3s. The red dice are hitting on 5s. So blue dice on 3s were groups of 4. They get a total of 1 wound. They get a second wound, and then they get 2 more hits that are, you can call them squandered, but whatever. There's your 8. Hitting on 5s, we need to get a total of 4. The Goblin King is going to do 1 more wound. The rest of these are out of here. So that's 2 wounds. We're going to pull off a figure from the Greater War Beasts, and we're going to pull off 1 figure for the Elite Riders. Both sides now have to make a morale check. The Goblin King is at -2, 3. They're both at -3 altogether, and +1. So with the bumped camera, they're both at -2. We're going to get a result of a 6 and a 4. Both of those succeed, And the elite riders are thrown back just a little bit. These guys can shoot at that unit over there if they get a 5 or better. On a result of a 4, it's going to be a turnover, and it's going to be the Goblin King's turn. Now, we're going to go ahead. Should we attack there again? We have to, don't we? We've got the wild charge ability. So that wild charge is going to be forcing an attack roll, and 8 will be successful. But now that both units are at half strength, both units are going to be rolling 6 dice only. It's going to be a lot harder, given that both of these units have an armor of 4. The greater war beasts are hitting on 3s for the red dice. The elite riders are hitting on 5s. So 3s for the red. We get a total of 1 wound for the red, pulling off a lancer. And then we only get a total of 1 hit for the king, for Hopper, which means Hopper has to make a check at -3. 6 minus 3 is a failed check. Hopper is going to fall back 2.5 inches to here, and he is going to be wasting time trying to recover next turn. That's the first. Now we're going to go ahead and, I think because these guys, ooh, how far away are those guys? They're 7 inches away. We could probably finish them off, couldn't we? We're a little too far away. A shoot order. Were they too far away to shoot? Oh, you know what we do? We get a free move order. Let's go ahead and bring this unit up 6 inches like so. And we're going to force those archers to make a very difficult choice, because they're going to have to choose on their turn whether to deal with the immediate threat or force a morale check on the leader over there. We do have 2 more units. We've got these guys, and we've got these guys. Let's make a shooting attack with these guys over here first. Looking for a 5 or better. We succeed. We're going to roll 12 dice. We need to get 4 5s or betters to do a wound. We get a total of 1, 2, 3. Oh, we didn't get that 4th one. Okay, that's fine. Trust me, we're going somewhere with this. And then we're going to try to bring these guys 6 inches over. And on an 8, we will succeed. So if we measure 6 inches, we can bring these guys over to here. And now these elite riders are in a whole mess of trouble, because they have to start with, well, first we have to start with trying to recover these spearmen. This is 6 inches. Are they 6 inches away from their leader? They are, oh, he's over here. They are more than 6 inches. So they are at -5, remember. 8 minus 5 is a 3. They have a courage of 4. They lose another guy, and they fall back another 2.5 inches, and they remain battered. Slide it over there. Then our King Hopper himself has to check. And he succeeds. All he can do is recover. Then we have to deal with this wild charge down here, charging the nearest unit. And 8 is successful. This unit says, hey, I want to exercise the better part of valor, and I'm going to try to ride away. On a 7, they do. Now, before they ride away, they get to take a shot. They need 6s. If they can get 4 6s, they get 1, 2. Okay. So what happens now is these guys are going to ride 6 inches away to here. And that's going to put the elite riders in a real pickle, because they have to follow up the 5 inches to here. We're going to put them in line like this because of that requirement for 1 inch of space. But look at that. They are now completely unsupported. These guys are going to be able to, they're going to take a lot of arrow shots next turn. And they're going to just be run all over the place. Now we have to, in fact, speaking of which, we have to decide, let's use the free move action by our general to bring these guys up in support. We're going to bring them up to here. Maybe we can chase these light riders down. But that's the other problem that our humans face, is with all of these foot troops, our light riders can just stay away and just keep pincushioning these guys, right? So far, the Roman Empire hasn't lost a single unit. So the advantage at this point, if the game was over now, the advantage would go to the goblins. And I think, have we done everything? We did these guys. Oh, we have these bowmen who can shoot here. So that's the one saving grace, is that the goblins are going to have, well, not if they don't roll a 5. The one saving grace is those bowmen mean that the light riders can't do too much to them. But, you know, having said that, that is the end of the turn. And now our light riders over here have a choice. Do we want to charge? Do we have any? We do have one. You know what? It's 5 inches away. We do have one wild charge. Our leader doesn't have a choice. Oh, wait a minute. Does he? Does he? The archers are 5 inches away. And the leader, actually the leader is closer. He's going to do a wild charge. And with a 5, he will. Their attack roll is a 5. So it's going to be our 6 dice versus 6 dice once again. With the greater war beasts having the advantage, they're hitting on 5s. Or 3s, I should say, and it doesn't do them any good. In point of fact, nobody does any damage, so our war beasts are thrown back. The war beasts really have to end this fight on the offensive, or it's not going to end. That's it for the required. Now we're going to try to... what is the attack for light riders? Light riders attack on a 7-up, and they shoot on a 5-up. Okay, that being the case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll 3 sets. I've got a shooting action here at these guys. Oh, but that's not true. The first shooting action I'm going to make with a 5-up, these guys are going to take a shot. They do. Then, with a 5-up, these guys are going to take a shot here. They do. And then, with a 5-up, these guys will also take a shot. And with a 4, they'll fail. That's all right. So I've got 2 light rider shooting actions that I need to check. We're going to check against these elite riders first. We're looking for 5s. We need to score 4 of them to score a hit. We get a 5, 6, 6, and that's it. No hits. For the second shooting action on those spearmen, we only need to get... that shooting action, we're also looking for 5s. And we get a total of 1, 2. We get 1 hit altogether. Wow, that was not so good on this spear unit. But 1 hit will reduce them to less than half strength. And it will force them to make a morale check. They are already battered. They're at -7. That becomes a 2. They will fail. They will fall back another... Oh, and they're already battered. So since they failed that, they take another hit. And they fall back another 1.5 inches, but they're still on the table. Which means they're still kind of a threat, aren't they? So we did that shooting action, that shooting action. The goblins are now done. Let's look at our King Hopper's move. First of all, we have an elite rider that needs to make an attack roll down here. He's going to charge after these guys. With an 8, he will succeed. Those guys are going to try to evade. And with a 7, they will. Now, notice how he is an inch away. They can move 6 inches. So the elite riders are not going to be able to catch them. The elite riders take a full shot of 12 dice. I guess that's a pretty good place. And we get our 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do 1 more casualty. And these guys are rolling at -4. They're off the field. They have completely surrendered. Now, these guys still have to make a full retreat action 6 inches to here. That skirmish was I fire and then move. You are obligated to complete the move, so they have fallen back to there. This is part of the reason why I moved these goblins up. With all of that room to maneuver, the light riders are really showing their mettle now, aren't they? We have a wild charge here, which is successful. Hopper moves up. He's going to be hitting on 3s, and the red dice will be hitting on 5s. I don't think that was the one. The 3s are going to score 1 wound. And the 5s are going to score 1 wound. So we remove 1 more guy here. King Hopper stands alone, but so does the Goblin King. Both sides now have to make a morale check at -5. Man, or minus, I'm sorry, it's -4 for the Goblin King. -5 +1 as a result of a 2. Hopper fails. He has to fall back 2.5 inches. To there. He is at -5, but +1. He also fails and will also become battered. But they do both stay on the table, which is important because you don't want that morale check getting triggered. 2 hit points. Oh, he's at -4 +1. Yeah, he's still 2. He still failed. He just has a little bit more wiggle room. And then we have our movement. So Hopper says, hey, I'm within 6 inches of you guys. Fall back. They will fall back to here. They're going to make those, buy some time, they're going to make those light riders come at them. And then we have, oh, I don't know if you can use your ability while you're battered. I don't think you can. All right, that being the case, let's roll for these guys. Looking for a 5 or better. On a 3, they're not going to move up at all. You know, I'm going to leave it as is, but I'm going to give them a failed movement check. Oh, you know what else I forgot? Oh, did I roll? These guys have to make a recovery check at -8. On a 2, they well, it doesn't matter because a 2 is a failed morale check that causes them to rout off the table. And the first unit is now off. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units still on the table, but we're coming down to the end here. The Broman, so what I did is I said, all right, listen, I gave these guys the move order from him, and then our next order is a failure. Tell me in the comments, if you're battered, can you use your special abilities? For the life of me, I can't remember. On the Goblin's turn, we have to try to recover our leader. On a result of a 2, he is going to quit the field. He is at -4 altogether, and so that is a complete flight on his part. I have to check my 1, 2, 3 units. There's the roll for those guys, a result of a 5. For the second unit, we get a result of an 8. And for the third unit, we get a result of a 5. Light Riders have a courage of 4. They have a courage of 5, rather. Everybody's fine. The goblins will continue to fight, but they have now lost only 10 AP. All right, that's important because once you lose 11, you have to make another morale check. It is the goblins' turn still, so we're going to go ahead and take a look. See, we are more than 6 inches away there. We can shoot at these guys. Let's do that. We shoot our success is on a 5 rather than a 7. We do better to attack, but we're less likely to succeed in that. So we have a successful shoot action. We are shooting a unit that's got an armor of 2. Light missiles have an armor of 2. Looking for pairs of 5s and 6s. There's 1 wound, 2 wounds, 3 wounds to the archers. So we pull off 3 guys here. And then they have to make a morale check at a total of -2. Oh, you don't get the bonus of 1 if he's battered. He's too busy trying to recover. We're at a total of -3. Archers have a courage of 4. They get a 6. They're okay. They're going to stand their ground. Now I've got 2 units of light riders on that side. The first one is going to sneak up, and the second one will move up this way if possible. Successful on 5s. Both of our light riders are successful. So you can see them just right over there. I think this is a pretty good look at the battlefield from the Roman Emperor's perspective. He needs to recover. He's rolling at -5. He is going to recover. That's all he can do. But he does now get his ability to exercise a free move order. Now, these guys are going to fall back 3 inches. And the reason they're going to do that is... Oh, boy, do they? No, we got to try to shoot with them. Let's go ahead and bring these guys back another 3 inches, like so. And then we're going to roll to see if these guys fire. We're looking for a 5 or better. They finally do. We're going to get to pull off a shot. And then I really think this is, I really think it's the goblins' fight to lose here. These guys are shooting, and because these light riders are so close, the shoot action is going to be on a 5 or better. Archers will... Oh, you know what? Light missiles execute a shoot order on a 6 or better. They're not going to do anything. That's going to be a turnover. These guys are going to exercise a shoot order on a 6 or better. I think I've been doing 5s this whole game. They fail. It's the Broman's turn. You guys, huddle up. Execute the move order. Form shield wall. You guys, looking for a 6 or better, you're going to get a shot off at those light riders. And wow, what a roll, man. They are shooting on a 5 or better. Every 3 will be a kill. That's 1, 2. So we finally have our first light rider casualty of the day, which means I can replace that broken figure finally. And that's going to force a morale check at -2. The result of a 10, these light riders are fine, although I'm going to pull the guys off the back. I like that decision better. And then King Hopper is going to... Oh, does he have wild charge? He does not. He's going to just try to move back and stay safe. With a result of a 6, he won't. It'll be a turnover. It is now the goblins' turn. We're going to bring these goblins up. Moving on a 5, they will. We're going to bring these goblins up. Moving on a 5, they will. And then we're going to bring these guys... let's go ahead and shoot one more time. They will succeed. There are still full strength. Looking for pairs of 5s. That's going to be 1, 2, 3 kills. 1, 2, 3. Knocks those guys down to half strength. And forces them to make a check at -6 plus 1. They're at a total of -5. They get a result of 2. And that means they have to fall back 1.5 inches to here. And they are battered. So we'll move these guys up since they had their successful actions. And yeah, I think this game is over. I think that with just 1 unit left that has no firing capability, these guys are going to pull up 6 inches. We got a lot of shooting action that we're going to be able to just take these guys out. Do you want to play it out? Should we keep on trucking? We got to do a recovery here, and that's going to be the end of this unit. The archers are at -5. They quit the field. And now we're down to just 5 units on the table. What do you think, Hopper? I think we got to move over here. I think we got to try and win this fight. We're going to ride 5 inches to meet these guys in battle. And that's all we can do. These guys need their armor class of 5, although they're going to start taking arrows, and there's nothing they can do. They will not be able to catch these guys. So let's see if we can take out King Hopper with a successful shoot action. The goblins do not. Hopper is going to respond by charging them, and he's going to succeed on a 9. Now, this particular battle here... Oh, do they evade? With an 8, they do. They're going to be able to shoot at him. And again, this is the other problem. Wow, that's a really good shot. They hit on 6s. They get 1, 2. It's not enough, but remember, they're going to be able to move 6 inches away. And he has to follow up that other 3 inches to about there, which means on their turn, they're going to get to... We could have used that roll on an offensive shooting. They're going to get off the shot. They're still shooting at full strength. If they can roll 1 hit, all they needed was 4 5s or betters. An average roll would have ended the game in their favor. But we do have... These guys want to shoot at these guys. They are successful. Again, they're hitting on 5s. For every 3 they get, that's 1 casualty. A 5 is a success. And then these guys are going to ride up. And on a 5, they do move. So we'll bring them up to about here. They don't need to move the full 6 inches. And now look at that. These spearmen are 4 inches away. They can't charge. They won't be able to make contact with these guys, will they? We're going to call it here. We're going to call it in favor of, well, I don't know, should we? Should we call it in favor of the goblins, or should we battle it out? I feel like we'd spend another 20 minutes with a little chase game going on that we've got going on here. What really needs to happen is King Hopper, we're going to do King Hopper just to see what happens. He succeeds. Do they evade? They do evade. So once again, what really needed to happen is Hopper needed to catch those guys. They're only hitting on 6s, and essentially what's going to happen here is, unless we roll 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there you go. There it is right there. Hopper is now dead. These guys have to make a morale check at -2, and with a result of a 4, they're going to fall back. They're going to be battered, and now they have to deal with 12 total points on the board still. This game is over. What a great game. I think we established that light riders are very effective if the terrain is set up appropriately for them. If you can be patient and use them the way that old Dan Mersey intended them to be used, they can be very powerful. Even though they're not powerful on a one-for-one basis in the right situations, they can dominate. Hey, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I'm praying for you.